If you are a wedding photographer, you probably know exactly what it's like to be ghosted, especially this year where the ghost rates are so high. I want to talk about some things you can do in your photography business to stop getting ghosted. So if you've never seen my face before, I'm Samia. I'm a wedding photographer and I help other wedding photographers build their businesses on this YouTube channel. I come out with a new video every single week, so make sure to subscribe and let's get into the video. So I think ghosting is somewhat inevitable to some degree, but there are a lot of things that I have been doing in my business that have really lowered the amount of ghosting that's happening, and I wanted to talk about that. So the first thing that I think has lowered it the most is actually calling my wedding inquiries. So I talk about this a lot on this YouTube channel, how I use ShowIt for my contact form on my website, and it can send me a text message when I get an inquiry, and then I call couples on the phone. Calling couples on the phone has made such a strong impact and such a strong connection that it's pretty rare that a couple that I've talked to on the phone and had a full consultation call with afterwards will ghost me because of the level of connection that we've had. So that's been really, really helpful. So there's always a reason for ghosting, and one of them could be that your business is not the most simple to deal with. So I think something we don't realize all the time is that these wedding couples that are planning their weddings have so much going on. They're talking to so many other vendors that we sometimes overlook the fact that we need to be really, really simple. So like 2 to 3 sentence emails, 1 question email. One way that I do that is on that initial phone call, I will actually schedule the consultation call. So I'll say on the phone, would Tuesday at like 5 or 6 p.m. work well for you? And then we've already scheduled it. I was losing so many clients over the years trying to schedule consultation calls. So what you want to do is remove as many barriers and steps as possible. So ideally, you can schedule a consultation call when you're on the phone with them. If that doesn't work, the best thing that has worked for me is using HoneyBook's scheduler. So HoneyBook is a client management software. There's other videos on YouTube about HoneyBook, and there's a 50% discount code down below. Inside HoneyBook is a calendar scheduler, and that you can set up slots for appointments, and then you can send them a link to schedule on that calendar. And when they schedule, it'll automatically create a Zoom link if you enable the video option within HoneyBook. So that alone has been a game changer, because in past years I was losing so many couples just from saying, hey, are you free this time? What about this time? And it would be 2 or 3 or 4 emails, and it would just never work. So removing that barrier, saying, does any time work here on my calendar? If not, go ahead and send a few over and I'll make it work. So another sort of strategy that I started doing in recent years is the concept of creating scarcity and using a courtesy hold. But when I have a consultation call with a couple, when I send a proposal, I tell them on the call that, hey, I'm going to do a courtesy hold on your wedding date for 3 days, and then afterwards the courtesy hold will expire. That means that I could book a different wedding on your date. That means that date, there's nothing holding that date. And that has worked really well for me and for my clients in the past couple of years, because it gives them time to look, not feel pressured that they have to book anything right away. They can look, they feel like their date is somewhat held, and also it gives me time to make sure that that's their date, and then also not wonder what's going to happen in 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. More likely than not, if they're gonna book, they're gonna book in those 3 days. And then if not, they're going to book within 5 days. Sometimes they need 1 or 2 more days. After that, it's pretty rare that clients come back and book. So it was kind of something that would be dying anyways. I just kind of made it more official. I think 3 days is a good amount of time to let people talk to other photographers and all of that. But if you have used some of the strategies that I teach on this channel, or especially if you're in my Consultations That Convert course, the level of consultation that we're doing, this time that we're putting into each inquiry, it really makes sense to have a 3-day hold because of the level that you've already extended out to them and put the ball in their court. And then if they don't respond or ghost you, you have done your job. You have done everything that you could possibly do. There's nothing that you could do any better. That's just the market doing its thing. But before doing that courtesy hold, I would send a proposal, and then it was just open-ended as to when they would respond. And the ghosting with no strategy was insane. So after I send a proposal to a wedding inquiry, the next day I will send an email saying, hey, just making sure you receive the proposal. Sometimes it goes into spam. Just making sure you got it. Not like a check-in to make sure, do you guys have any questions or did you sign it? Just saying, I'm just making sure you received it. And that one little email is just another touch point, not a pushy touch point. That's the only email that I'm going to send after I send that proposal. I am not going to check in the next day. I'm going to let that courtesy hold completely expire. I don't want to be seen as somebody that is desperate for business or pressuring them. They already know everything that I've said. They're not going to forget. And it's already written there also. And if they do forget, then probably they weren't that interested in wedding photography anyways, or in working with me anyways. So that's also fine. So that one follow-up email though, just making sure that they have received it has helped, because it's just one more touch point after sending the proposal before they go and consider all their other options. So even though people ghost and they disappear and they go out of nowhere, it doesn't mean we totally have no control at all. So what I like to do is after a client has ghosted me or just not responded for a good amount of time, I do send a 2-question survey, and it's basically, I call it the lost lead survey. And I teach this in my course too, because I asked them, what was it that made you go in a different direction? Is there anything that could have done differently? And then I give them different options to choose from, like price, personality, or photography style. And that really has helped me gather data and insight about the ghosting. Couples will actually fill it out if you position it in a way that, hey, I'm just trying to collect research about my business and the market and what you're looking for. People will fill it out. Don't think that they won't, because they will. And that has really helped me understand the ghosting a little bit more. So having data on that is super, super helpful. And then you can make decisions from there about what people keep clicking or checking in that survey and why it's happening. So don't think that just because you keep getting ghosted, we have absolutely no control or no insight. You can always ask. You might still be ghosted after that, but there is opportunity there to at least ask and see if there's any data you can gather about what happened. So next week, I'm going to talk specifically about how to stay resilient when it comes to ghosting for wedding photographers. It's something that really can be a challenge, and as if running a wedding photography business isn't a challenge enough, this one specific part I know it can be really taxing. So I'm going to talk specifically about that resilient piece next week on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.